Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Katherine Kelly. I'm a holistic health psychologist and soul healing specialist. So, what do I mean by soul healing? Now, let me tell you, I talk over and over and over again about the fact that our soul is the energetic essence of who we are. So, we can have a human personality, we can have a human body, but there's something deeper within us that really defines who we are as an individual. And that is seasoned throughout our lifetime. And so, when I talk about soul healing, we have to really talk about how is it that a soul can become wounded. And when I'm educating others, I talk to people about maybe two different primary ways that people get wounded. One can be that you can actually fracture or fragment your soul. We'll talk about that in a moment. And the other one is that we can accumulate what I call energetic imprints along the way, according to what has seasoned us, what has happened in our human condition, what has our upbringing brought to us, what has have past lives brought to us. And so if you think about the energetic essence of who a person is, we can be energetically stamped by those experiences, and those stamps become a part of us until we know how to heal them or how to remove them, how to resolve them, how to integrate them, whatever it might be. But we can have energetic imprints that are kind of laid over our essence of who we are and integrate it into us from a wounded perspective. This can make us misfire. It can trigger us. It can, if it's someone who's had a traumatic event and then they come along life and there's something similar that happens, it's going to trigger them because it's going to activate that memory, that experience, that energetic imprint that is left back from childhood or even previous lifetimes. So we can have an accumulation of lots of different energetic imprints along the way. We can also have soul fracturing. So we can actually have, it's almost like a broken soul. And what I mean by that is when you are going through life, if you do have something that is so sudden and so urgently devastating to you, you can actually split off in a way. You can have like a deep, quote, fissure in your soul, a fragment or a fissure in your soul that needs healing as well. And that, again, can cause triggers. It can cause a lot of depression. It can cause basically a sense that you're not whole. It can cause lots of fragmentation in how you live your life, even. And so, those of us who do psychological healing, we know that sometimes even the psychological methods that are out there are not enough. And this is why I educate about soul healing. So I'm going to give you some examples. So I'm going to show you very quickly my soul health model because this is something that really explains a lot of things. But this is really, it shows the 10 branches of the human condition that we are constantly, as humans, trying to work out, trying to get organized, trying to get healed, trying to clean out and then fill up. These are basically the 10 different aspects of the human condition that all of us struggle with at one point or another. But the whole reason I created this model was to show what it looks like and feels like to be well and whole. And if we have these energetic imprints left on any one of these 10 branches, or if we have a fracture on a deeper part of our soul, this tree is not going to look so good. This is not going to be a vibrant, luscious, radiant tree. We are going to feel wilty. We're going to feel like we have some broken branches here and there. And so when I talk about reclaiming the soul, we really have to understand how the soul can get wounded or damaged in the first place. So again, you can have a fracture, you can have these wounds. I'm going to give you some examples of this though. So for instance, let's see here. I'm just going to actually pick the physical and the psychological here. Let me talk about this. So from an experience of my own, I have loved dogs all of my life. I have absolutely adored them. When I was 27, 28 years old, I had a very terrible experience. It was the first time I had ever had a difficult experience with a dog. And I was out walking my miniature dachshund. This was before I moved to North Carolina. And unfortunately, a Rottweiler got away from an older man and came and attacked us. And it was the first time ever that I had really screamed in my life. And it was one of those things where, had a construction worker not been nearby, I think my dog would have died right there on the spot because he was getting attacked. And so that whole image of what happened was so imprinted in me. And so I knew that basically I had to go back out and walk as soon as I could. So of course I got him to the veterinarian. I got him cared for. But even when he was still in the veterinarian hospital, I knew I had to go walk that same path. I had to go reclaim that aspect of me that got left on that road in that place. Otherwise, I think a lot of things would have changed. I probably wouldn't have felt safe walking as much. I wouldn't have felt safe being out on my own. I wouldn't have felt safe maybe being around other dogs, things like that. And so I had to go back and reclaim that part of myself as soon as I could in that moment to minimize that fragmentation that could have happened. Now, years later, even still now, if there is a dog off leash, I am very cautious around it. Now, I can make friends with the best of dogs. I mean, I'm a dog magnet. I can make friends with them. But if there is a dog that I do not know off leash or one that just is barking or coming at us in one way or another, I do get very cautious for what I do because I know I've had that experience in the past, and I've also, that energetic imprint is still there. It's more of a memory that's there. I don't really have the anxiety as much as I have the knowing of what I need to do in that particular situation. So for me, I reclaimed that part of me. But for other people who have never had the opportunity or who have never known to go back and reclaim an aspect of themselves, they can still get triggered. They can still get activated in times when you have a similar instance or something that even remotely resonates with you about that previous incident, and it can trigger you all over again. That is just one example. If you have had severe trauma as a kid, whether it was physical abuse, sexual abuse, verbal abuse, whatever it might be, it can wear you down. It can cut you so deeply that 40, 50, 60, 70 years later, you can still get triggered. Now, we can do all kinds of different forms of healing to minimize the reaction and change the reactions, but sometimes we have to go to the soul level. And oftentimes, people, the practitioners that are working with you, don't know that you actually have to work on the soul level, but then they also don't know necessarily that you have to reclaim that aspect of you that might have been left back in that situation in order for you to feel whole. And when I say reclaim, it's not just an intellectual kind of reclaiming, it's actually an energetic reclaiming of who you were at that time when you felt whole or more whole, and yet you felt fractured or fragmented at that time. Now, let me give you an example of this too. Flashbacks. Anytime a person has a flashback, what happens? They get activated. They go back to the situation where they were first wounded or fragmented. That is an example of kind of evidence, really, that a part of us was left back in that place. So something can happen to you at age 10, and it gets activated with you when you're 56 years old. And basically, you know that there's a part of you that needs to go back and collect that fragment. And so that is just another example. Oftentimes, disempowerment, I work primarily with women. The people who come to me are usually women because they know I do soul healing and they know they do holistic healing. So, they're drawn to me and what I do. Oftentimes, with disempowerment situations, and women in general have had many occasions to be disempowered. And so, one of the things that I do is I listen and I work through with them what it is, usually with the soul health model, whether we're talking about it directly or not, what they need to reclaim, what it is that they need to reclaim from that time. I have a client I've worked with for years and years and years, and she had a very challenging family growing up. And she has a very vivid memory of a situation when she and her brothers were outside and they were telling her terrible, terrible things. They were much older than her. They were telling her terrible things, pushed her down, walked away. This 5-year-old kid is left alone in the middle of nowhere, terrified, just had this terrible experience. And so we had to go back and do a whole lot of reclaiming work about reclaiming her voice, reclaiming the fact that she wasn't all of those terrible things that her bully brothers had told her when she was young. Had to go back and reclaim the whole idea of feeling safe because she really was not, she did not feel safe. She didn't feel safe being alone. She didn't feel safe being kind of in a place that she didn't know. So there were lots of levels of things that we had to reclaim. And if you think about this, it's kind of like a roadmap to be able to go, okay, so what within each one of these branches do I need to go back to with that particular memory, with that particular incident or event that happened in my life? What can I systematically reclaim using this as a roadmap, using this soul health model as a roadmap? Because, going back to that example with this woman is like there were lots of different aspects that were affected for her during that time. It wasn't just physical with her being pushed down, it was psychological, it was interpersonal, it was lots of things that basically happened to fragment her in that time. But if you don't know that you have to systematically go back and reclaim yourself bit by bit at a time, it's kind of like Humpty Dumpty. You're not going to feel whole. You're not going to feel like you can function as a contiguous individual. You don't feel like you can feel integrated and whole. If you have memories that draw you back, it's the same thing. So again, it could be an energetic imprint that is left there, but for a soul healing client or practitioner, they can actually um, understand and see sometimes where the fragments are, how we need to heal these. Now, that's an advanced skill. That is something that I'm teaching, basically, I will be teaching in my Soul Health Scholars programs in later levels of the certifications, how to identify and see those within clients. But within yourself, if you don't feel whole, if you have memories that trigger you to go back, you can be guaranteed that there's either an energetic wound there or some sort of a fragment that needs to be reclaimed. So the whole word, the original word for healing is haelan. And basically, originally it just meant to feel whole. And so the whole idea of soul healing is to get that energetic essence of who you are, feeling like you are whole again, feeling like you have resolved and dissolved anything that's wounding you, but basically integrating whatever it is that you have learned in the process of not only healing, but in the process of having experienced those things in the first place. So again, our soul's evolution is all about what we do with our wounds, what we do in order to move beyond or evolve beyond where we once were. And when it comes to soul healing, when it comes to psychological healing, sometimes when it comes to physical healing, it's all about reclaiming that aspect of yourself that got lost in the moment of whatever it was that you experienced and knowing you have to reclaim it in order to feel whole. Again, soul healing to me is it comes down to one of those two different things. It's either those energetic imprints, those memories that get stamped on us, or those fractures or fissures that get embedded in our soul from a very deep level that keep us kind of tripping over ourselves or getting triggered over and over and over again. And again, this can happen in lots of ways. There's not enough time for me to explain all of the different examples because pretty much every aspect of the human condition can be fractured. It can be wounded. And it's all about what we choose to do and what we know to do in order to evolve beyond it. So when I say evolve beyond it, I really mean healing the wound itself, removing that energetic imprint, knowing how to get in there and work on that fracture or that fragment and integrate yourself. But also, how do you evolve beyond it? The reason I use the word evolve is that I don't want to just get people healed to the place where they once were. I want to give them that conscious evolution perspective to help them interpret and understand why they went through those things as part of their soul's development, as part of their soul's evolution, so that they can move beyond it. And that is basically the making of an old soul right there, is when you do that kind of work, when you know that there's something deeper to go into and really understand it, but then know how to heal it. I want to talk about parts work. So years ago in the field of psychology, the idea of parts work came, I'm not even sure what year it is, but it's basically about recognizing the different parts of you that get broken off or basically get separated along the way in your life. And then whenever you get triggered about something, you go back to living from that perspective. So say, for instance, that woman who had that little girl in her that was wounded at age 5, there was a very young part of her that would come out sometimes even in the middle of therapy. And I would observe this and I would realize, okay, she's activated from that part of her that was 5 years old. It may be a different situation, but it is basically that wounded little 5-year-old that was activated and acting in that moment. There's other parts of her that she had to reclaim over time. But the whole idea of parts work is identifying within you what are the parts of you that are being activated. That also can give you the roadmap for understanding how you need to heal your soul. Because again, we don't want to go around as a, I don't know, 50, 60-year-old woman acting like a 5-year-old. We want to integrate that. We want to do the nurturing work. We want to do the soul work to integrate that part of us into us so we can can feel whole. So that parts work started years ago, and then now it is called, well, there's another field or part of the field called internal family systems. And so there's actually some really good evidence and some really good techniques to take you through what's called internal family systems work to help you understand more specifically what those roles are that they play, what the wounds are, but what the benefits of having those parts are, and then basically how to work with all of those like the team in order to integrate you to feel whole as well. So there's lots of psychological theory around this, and yet a lot of times people don't know that it's the soul level work you need to do to actually move beyond whatever is triggering you, whatever is tripping you up. So when I talk about reclaiming the soul, I talk about it in lots of different ways. And it is about knowing you have to go back and reclaim that part of you. You have to go back and lift off that energetic wound that continues to trigger you. And there are lots and lots of ways to do that. But really, it's the soul healing professionals that know how to get to that level. And there's not enough of us out there. There's not enough of a structure out there for people to learn how to do this. And frankly, that's why I have created my Soul Health Scholars programs is to help other practitioners understand how to get to that level. So if you are a practitioner and you want to know, contact me. I'm more than happy to walk you through kind of what I do in those programs and welcome you into those programs. If you are a client, if you are a person watching this film, and you realize, wow, okay, there is something that is making me feel fragmented or feel fractured in some way. You can contact me, you can contact your own therapist, your own practitioner, and see if they can help you with that. Because some shamanic practitioners can help you with that, some energy workers can help you with that. But again, they may or may not know how to do that if they have not been specifically trained. But I just want to get back to this idea of we cannot feel whole. We cannot feel like we are the person we're supposed to be unless we have reclaimed the aspects of us that have been chipped off, broken off, or energetically imprinted in a way that keeps us from feeling who we are. Years ago, and I've said this story a couple times, well, probably several times on videos, but a couple times here and there in explaining some of these things. Years ago, I had a client that at the end of a session asked me, Dr. Kelly, what do you think all humans are here to do? And without skipping a beat, I basically said to them, to this person, to find our truth and keep it. And this is just one example of why we need to do this kind of work of reclaiming your soul, because you cannot feel aligned with yourself. You cannot find your true self unless you have collected those aspects of you that have been taken away or chipped off or broken away for whatever trauma you've experienced. You can't feel whole. And there are so many aspects of the human condition that try to get us off our mark, try to get us from feeling like who we are. And so this whole idea of soul healing, this whole idea of soul realignment, this whole idea of reclaiming is all about getting you in that place where you know who you are much more and you can keep it, because it's very easy to have another aspect of you taken away if it's not very sturdy and you are kind of fragmented in the way. It's like another part of you could chip off. So I use metaphors all the time because it does help people just sort of put themselves energetically into the experience and understand this kind of stuff. So if you feel fragmented, you know you're fragmented. If you know you've had something energetically imprinted on who you are, whether it's a thought process or an energetic kind of experience, an emotion that gets kind of erupted at times, then you know that there's something to reclaim. So I hope this helps you understand why I talk so much about reclaiming the soul. And when I talk about the soul health model, that's the other part of this is I talk about you have to clean out before you can fill up. So if there is a layer or multiple layers of these energetic imprints on you, you will not feel whole. You will not feel like yourself. You will feel like there's too many weighted blankets kind of piled up on you. You will not be able to feel that radiance of who you are unless you clear that off and reclaim the part of you that really fits into your particular tree to help you feel like you. And I know that's a lifelong process. So I just want to urge you all to think about, okay, what do I need to reclaim? What is it from a soul level? What is it about myself? What core aspects of myself do I need to reclaim to feel whole, to feel like I'm evolving beyond? And if you don't know how to do that with yourself, please seek assistance because that is what this is all about. So if you have questions, please leave them here. If you want to contact me, please contact me. You can go through my website at www.drkatherinetkelly.com. If you are a healing practitioner or a coach and you want to understand some of this more, you are more than welcome to go to my website as well and look under the Soul Health Scholars tab and the training tabs because there is a lot out there and there's a lot more that I'm going to be offering in the years to come. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.